Hi, my name is Oliver, and this is Create Something with Onramp. So today we're going to discuss how to improve your product rankings on Amazon in the year 2022. And the reason why I say the year 2022 is because Amazon is always changing. If you go on Amazon now, it looks completely different than it did a few years ago. You know, the whole platform is covered in ads from head to toe. It's getting a lot more difficult to rank your products every day. Amazon has ranking factors to determine where your products sit on search results pages. And they are kind of determined by Amazon's sophisticated search algorithms, similar to how Google has a search algorithm to determine which pages rank highly for different search terms. You know, while there's a bunch of different ranking factors, there are two main ranking factors that we'll go over, and then 5 minor ranking factors that you as a seller can manipulate and influence to increase your ranking. So let's get into the top 2 ranking factors. Now, these 2 ranking factors, these will basically determine where you are ranking on Amazon. So number 1 is sales velocity. So what is sales velocity? Sales velocity is, simply put, it's how fast, how many products do you sell per day. So if you sell 100 products per day, that's essentially 100 sales velocity. If you sell 1,000, that's 1,000, right? You want to sell as many products as possible. If your product sells well, that means Amazon likes it because they want to show people products that sell well. So if your product sells well, it will rank higher for the terms that you are kind of trying to rank for. So what you want to do is you want to increase sales velocity. Now, how do you do that? There's a lot of different ways. You want to have a really good listing. You want to have all your photos perfect. You want a good main image. You want good alternative images. You want a good description, bullet points. You want good reviews. You want a lot of 5-star reviews. You want to have just essentially really solid listings. And then after that, you want to drive traffic to those listings. So the main way to kind of drive traffic to your listing on Amazon these days is through Amazon's internal pay-per-click, campaigns. So you can go into Amazon, you can go into advertising, and you can create advertisements for your products. This video is not going to be about how to make a campaign because there's, many kind of campaigns you could run and details on how to do it. But for the most part, you need to run PPC campaigns these days to get better organic rankings because PPC doesn't penalize any kind of sales you would get from an organic sale. So what that means is if you were to score a sale from your advertising, that can only help your organic ranking. Amazon doesn't care where the sale came from. They don't care if it came from Google, if it came from Amazon search bar, or if it came from an advertisement. All they care is about really high sales velocity. So that's the main search ranking factor, sales velocity. You want to pump that thing up as high as you can. So number 2 is conversion rates. So conversion rates, simply put, are when somebody finds your product and they land on your product listing, do they make a purchase? If they do make a purchase, then that's a net positive for your conversion rate. If they leave your page and don't make a purchase, that's not good for your conversion rate. That lowers your conversion rate. So essentially, just like with sales velocity, Amazon not only wants to see products that sell well, they want to see products that convert well because conversions are very tightly linked to product relevance. And relevance means that when somebody types in a search term in Amazon, the product they see, is that the product they are looking for? If it is the product they're looking for and Amazon sees that the conversion rate is good, then they're gonna feed that product to the customer and they're gonna buy it because the conversion rates are good. And then it's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle where, a good product with a relevant term sells well, has a good conversion rate, and then Amazon will raise your ranking. So those are kind of the 2 ranking factors that you have to try your hardest to influence. And we can go over 5 more now that are a little more in detail to kind of help these top 2, but it all kind of ties into these 2. Number 1 for the remaining 5, review velocity. This is, very similar to sales velocity. Instead of how many sales you get per day, it's how many reviews do you get consistently, and not just reviews, 5-star reviews, because 5-star reviews are obviously very, very important. So if you can get consistent reviews for your product, Amazon likes that. They look favorably upon it. So they go, okay, this product reviews well consistently. People go out of their way to say how much they like it. So they will start to raise your ranks. There's a couple ways to get good reviews. There's a lot of tactics in the past to kind of request reviews or, do some kind of tactic to get reviews, but most of the time, your products will always fall within kind of the 2% of sales kind of review rate. So if you were to score 100 sales, you would get roughly 2 reviews. In my opinion, if you want to get good reviews, just make sure that your product packaging is really good so it doesn't come damaged to inspire them to give you a bad review, and make sure that your product matches what your pictures and what your descriptions say it is. So if you can give people exactly what they're expecting, then that will lend to a higher velocity of 5-star reviews. So the other factor is return rate. So return rate is what it sounds like. It's how many people buy your product and then what percentage of those people send it back to Amazon. Now, Amazon doesn't want products that are returned often, right? So if your product is returned, very little, that means that it's a good product and it's packaged well and it doesn't get damaged in shipping and it's what people expect and it's good quality. A good way to get a low return rate is similar to the review rate. Make sure that your product packaging is sturdy, because a lot of returns are done because the product was damaged in shipping. Make sure that your product kind of does what it says it does, or else people are going to return it. Anything you can do to kind of have a consistent product that's packaged well will help your return rate. Next up is relevancy. So relevancy kind of ties into the conversion rate main factor. Relevancy is when somebody types in a search term into Amazon, they're looking for something specific, and Amazon is trying to serve them that specific product that they're looking for. So if you can have your keywords in your listing, in your title, in your bullet points, in your description, if those key terms are very relevant to the search terms that people are looking for, you will have a very relevant product on your hand. And they can determine that through a lot of different factors, through conversion rate, through if people leave the listing, things like that. If you kind of focus on making sure that you're putting keywords in your listing that are relevant and kind of not including keywords that are irrelevant, then that will help with your relevancy and thus help with your rankings. This one's a little easier. This is called complete listings. This is a ranking factor that just benefits you to have the entirety of your listing completely filled out. So that's a filled out title, all the bullet points, all the pictures filled out, a video if you have the access to that, have your description filled out, have A+ content if you're brand registered. Also, customers can ask questions on Amazon about your product, and it notifies you about that. If you answer any question that comes in, that's considered a more complete listing. And then the last minor factor is BSR, which stands for best sellers rank. BSR is not really a factor you can directly influence. It's kind of ranking within your category for how well your product is doing among other products in the category. So if you're ranking high, that's a good sign, and then Amazon will use that ranking to help determine how you're ranking within search results. So a good way to influence BSR is basically, the number one way would just be to stay in stock. Don't go out of stock on Amazon. Rule number 1 of Amazon, don't go out of stock. If you go out of stock, you start losing bestsellers rank immediately, and you start losing everything. You don't show up on search results, you lose rankings, you lose sales, all your metrics go down. So if you want to keep your BSR high, stay in stock, and then deliver on all these other factors, and then everything will kind of rise together. So that's it. Basically, ranking kind of comes down to having really solid listings, really relevant terms put inside your descriptions and your titles and things like that, and just having a really, really good offering that people, when they see it, they'll know that it's professional, that it works, and that they want it. Keep doing that, and your rankings will rise. Anyway, so that's ranking factors. I'm Oliver, and this is Create Something with Onramp. If you like this content, please subscribe. We're going to come out with more content all the time to help Amazon sellers and Shopify sellers like you grow and start businesses.